What's up, everybody? We're going to try this a little bit of a different way here because I've been having some internet issues. For those of you who don't know, I live in Texas. We've been having like 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust, and it has messed up a lot of stuff at my house. But this is Matt. I'm back with your spring practice report for Monday, April 11th. We obviously had a ton of games that happened over the weekend. We'll touch on those really quick, and we will touch on some spring practice report things. But first, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button if possible. Click that bell icon so you know when all these videos go live. We'd really appreciate it. We're continually trying to grow our presence in this space, and it would mean a lot to us. So as I mentioned, ton of spring games we're going to go through roughly. I put out a thread the other day, touch on that really quick, and then there's a couple teams that I want to bring up on some spring notes. So let's get into it. All right, so we are going to start in the Pac-12. I got a couple different schools that I want to touch on really quick. We're going to start with Washington, and I don't even know what's going on here, guys, but Michael Penix the past 2 days has gotten all of the first-team reps. So for the most part, the first-team reps, while Sam Heward has been practicing with the twos. It's likely leaning toward Michael Penix Jr. getting the job, it seems like. Felix is probably right on this. I don't understand it. I just don't think Michael Penix is a good quarterback, but that is what it is. Running back Aaron Dumas has been running with the one, so that I thought was at least a tad bit interesting. I honestly don't know much about him, but he is getting run with the ones, which I found very interesting. Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze have been very well. They've been playing very well in practice. They've been out there with the ones for the most part, with also Camden Sermon, who has been out there as well. Again, Sam Heward, most of his reps have been coming on the second team. He has been splitting some with Dylan Morris. Very curious to see how that works out. I don't think Penix starts the entire season because I just don't think he's good. Moving on to Oregon, both Bo Nix and Ty Thompson have been splitting time with the first and the second teams. It seems like Dante Thornton and Troy Franklin have been kind of the main focal points of the offense here. Troy Franklin had a really good play in this past practice where he took a 5-yard what was it? A 5-yard slant route, took it for like 50 yards. Sean Dollars has also been looking very good. He connected on a wheel route from Ty Thompson. Both those guys have been pretty good. Chris Hudson has been good as well. Byron Cardwell, we all know he's kind of been the guy for Oregon after Seven McGee moved to wide receiver. Byron Cardwell has been running with the ones practically with everything, so we know, again, wheels up for him. And again, I do want to point out that Molakiki Motavo, I believe is how you say his name at tight end, has been really good in spring practice as well. There's been a lot of hype for him as well, and I do think he's a really good tight end. It's kind of hard to find tight ends on the campus to Canton side, so he's a guy that I would be willing to bet on because he seems to just be getting a lot of love. Seems like Bo Nix has been targeting him a lot, and it does seem like Nix is likely the starter, at least to start the season, for the Oregon Ducks. Last but not least, I did want to just mention that Seven McGee has lined up outside and in the slot and has been participating and being very active with the wide receivers and has looked very good in camp. Going on over to Washington State. We know Cameron Ward transfers in there. He's looked really good. Deshaun Stribling has been struggling with injuries. The one thing I will say is he's likely going to have that starting job when he comes back, but Anderson Grover has been a guy who has really come on strong in the past couple practices. 6'1", 207. He was what many thought was going to be like the fifth wide receiver on the team. He may be moving himself up because of Stribling's injury, and C.J. Moore struggles to hold on to the ball. We already know that Donovan Ali has been absolutely phenomenal as well, along with Victor. Running back, guys, I'm just going to let you know this is going to be bad. Dujinski Schellenbaker. I have no idea how to say this dude's name. You can ask me about it. We'll tweet it out. 5'10", 208. has been really good. Schlellenbaker has been learning the offense, and he's got a really good feel as an early enrollee of where he needs to go. He is a bruiser, according to the reports, but whenever he gets the ball, he plays at full speed, hits people with full contact. Like, he has been lights out as a bruiser. They do have Nakia Watson and Cannon Katzer as well, I believe, but they're really liking what Schallenbaker has been doing, and he has also been doing a little bit in the receiving game, and has been quoted by the coaches as the best pass blocker at running back. So he's another guy who could get a little bit of love. Last but not least, I wanted to mention wide receiver Drake Owen. He has also been getting some reps behind Lincoln Victor, who was really kind of balling out at the beginning of spring practice, but he got an injury and has kind of been sitting on the side, and Drake Owen has taken advantage of that. Excuse me. I still think Victor's the guy there, but the fact that Drake Owen has been looking as good as he is definitely a name to watch. Sticking with the Pac-12, we're going to go over to USC. Not still a lot coming out from that. There was some stuff from Caleb Williams, though, who said that he is trying not to move around as much. He knows that what he can do with his legs is electric, and he showed that last season. But he's trying to make a decision of staying in the pocket and seeing how defenses play him so that he can figure out what to do next. Not just passing the ball, but running. But he wants to be able to make those decisions from in the pocket, not necessarily running around, which is probably a good call on his part. You like to see that and hear that. He's also saying that he feels so much more comfortable in Riley's system now, being there for a year, obviously last year, and now kind of moving into his second season in this Riley offense. We're going to go over to Texas here for the last team before we jump into what happened in the spring games. So Hudson Card, reports are he's showing a lot of leadership skills, and it has definitely looked good. Definitely been showing off with his legs. That has kind of been the big thing that has separated him. Quinn Ewers has been described as a gunslinger, and he has definitely had some wow throws at practice. In fact, it's been described that he has freaky arm talent. While both look fairly comfortable, Hudson Card does seem a little bit more poised, especially when you talk about what he looked like last season. He has been, however, a little less composed in the pocket. He does tend to get what you would call happy feet, especially when he's getting pressure. But because of what he can do with his legs, it is very impressive. Quinn Ewers has been described as the more prototypical pro-style quarterback. They do think that, obviously, Card's legs give him an advantage over what Ewers can do. Ewers did have 2 interceptions. This was a couple days ago in practice. One was on the receiver, but one was definitely on Ewers. The one, he had a pretty good throw to Brennan Marion. And I guess that he kind of missed it, and it caused a interception. However, there was a miscue that led to one of Ewers' interceptions. He apparently missed a wide receiver being wide open and threw it to the defensive back. So he's thrown a couple interceptions here and there. Isaiah Nayork just continues to be an absolute beast. We've talked a lot about him, I feel like, so there's not really much else to drone on about with that. But he's been an absolute beast here for Texas. I will say, lastly, that, again, while Quinn has been throwing interceptions, there's still so much upside with him. I still think he's likely the guy for this offense and going to be the starting quarterback. But you can't just take away the fact that, again, Card is getting so much love. I do think that matters. Like, him getting so much work in the spring game and all that other stuff. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's definitely, there's a lot left to go here for Texas, but I would imagine that Quinn is going to be the guy. So let's jump in really quick. I'm going to take you guys through, if you missed my thread on Twitter, some of the stuff that I put down just based on various stuff I found all over the internet on a lot of spring games over the weekend, mostly Saturday's games. I've not gotten to Sunday's games yet. Tyrone Tracy continues to be the guy for Purdue. I know everybody loves Milton Wright, but Tyrone Tracy is the guy that I would try and roster for CFF purposes. Cincinnati, Evan Prater and Ben Bryant both looked good in this game. Prater was the one out there first with the first offense, threw a 40-yard touchdown, and was definitely using his legs to make plays. He also apparently looked sharper than Ben Bryant. However, Ben Bryant did throw a touchdown as well. The guy that really stood out, though, was tight end Shaymon Meteor, 6'5", 260-pound redshirt freshman. He was phenomenal. Clemson, DJ, did look slimmed down. Footwork seemed better at times, but he definitely struggled in this one. 17 for 36 for just 175 yards and an interception. Cade Klubnik looked good. He didn't look great in my opinion, but he did look good. 15 for 23, 106 yards and a touchdown. Did a little bit with his legs. I really do think this is going to be an open competition, and there's a chance that we're going to see Cade Klubnik. It really seems like we're going to see Cade Klubnik at some point in time this year. Will Levis has continued to look good and efficient is the word that has been described of him in Kentucky and at Kentucky's spring game. Again, that Rick Scangarello offense should be really good for Levis. NC State, you saw the pass, the touchdown. I tweeted it out as well. Leary just looks absolutely phenomenal. He had himself a great spring game here. 26 of 34 for 355 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just looked absolutely phenomenal out there. Was spreading the ball all over. Did also have a couple big plays with his legs. Going over to Pitt, I would definitely check off what Nick Pentagoff posted as well on Twitter. He had a much more comprehensive breakdown of the Pitt game. Slovis went 10 for 21, finished for 64 yards and an interception. He also had a would-be interception that was dropped, and apparently he did have a really good throw into the end zone back shoulder play that the wide receiver dropped, so he should have had a touchdown. Going over to Arizona, I have mentioned this guy multiple times. Hopefully you have targeted him at the end of your drafts. Noah Fafita, the quarterback in Arizona, looked phenomenal. Decision-making, timing, and accuracy and decisiveness in his passes is what has been described of him by his head coach. He already has great command of the offense. He has been putting the ball exactly where it needs to be and on time. He is the future of this Arizona offense. I'm telling you, pick him up. They did obviously say that Jaden DeLora looked very good as well. Both these guys have picked up the offense and are running with it. Tatora McMillan also had a big play in this one. A 33-yard touchdown was very impressive in the game overall. Going over to Auburn, Robbie Ashford showcased his arm with a smooth delivery. He was 12 of 16 for 132 yards. He also had a couple big rushing plays. He was showing zip and accuracy in and out of the pocket. Holden Grenier also was decent in this one. He did lead a scoring drive, but just looks a little bit unpolished. And I don't think that he's really in the running for the quarterback job, but a guy to note, as he is going to likely be the future of the Auburn program, and a guy that a couple of us liked over for the freshman guide. Robbie Ashford apparently won the MVP of spring, so it is still a competition between him and Finley. I think Finley's going to win the job, but I think Ashford might see some time. He has looked really good this spring. Going over to Texas A&M, all 3 quarterbacks looked good for the most part. Jim Fisher has continued to say he wants to push the ball down the field, and they definitely did that in their spring game. Max Johnson showed poise that you would expect from a veteran. He had a big play, a 40-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Preston. Haynes King displayed good footwork and looked good with his feet as well, had a 21-yard touchdown run. And then Connor Weigman also looked really good. You could see his arm talent with how good he was passing the ball. But all the talk has been about wide receiver Evan Stewart, who got offensive MVP honors for spring. That is how good he's been. You guys know I've talked about him multiple times since we've talked about Texas A&M. He did catch 7 passes for 75 yards in the spring game. Had that big contested catch one that everybody was posting. I know that there were some people who were like, oh, hey, we did the same thing with the Jai Hall last year. Evan Stewart has no offseason issues, no off-the-field issues. He is a guy that I think is going to be a mainstay in this offense this year. He's a guy that I want on my teams. I've been big on Evan Stewart in our freshman guide. I know he's a little bit rated lower. It was a composite thing. Evan Stewart, I think, is a very good wide receiver. Been a little bit of fear, like, hey, Jimbo Fisher hasn't developed these guys. I think that stops here, and Evan Stewart's a guy who changes that. He has been really good. that will do it for us today. I'm really, really hoping we're going to have no more internet issues moving forward. But if we do, we will continue to just record these videos a different platform and upload them. But I will talk to you guys again probably Wednesday. But do these every other day now as we're getting closer and closer to the end of spring. Not as much news coming out. So I don't want to jump on here for like one practice report. So we're going to be doing these every other day. So I will catch you guys again on Wednesday.